Okay, we will call to order the November 2nd meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. If everyone would please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For the record, we do have a quorum. Mayor Perry and myself are here present at the meeting, and Mrs. Keating is participating telephonically today. You'll be hearing her over the sound system, and thank you for doing that, Virginia.
Thank you.
First on our list is approval of minutes from our regular meeting of October 19th. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 19th.
Thank you, and I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Now we need to deal with opening of bids. First will be for the demolition of 702 South Ashland Ave. Owners Terry Logman Sr., Richard Gersh, and Terrence L. Logman Jr. Amber, did we get bids on this?
We did, Mr. President, but what you may want to do is open it up one final time for any vendor to submit a bid, and if there are no vendors that submit a bid, then make a formal motion to close the bids, and then I will read what we have.
Okay, can we do that in one? We have two here. Can we do both together?
You know, let me do them separately so there's no confusion.
Okay, thank you. So, do we have any other vendors present, willing, or wishing to submit a bid for the demolition of 702 South Ashland? Any further bids to be submitted? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close bids?
I'll make that motion, Mr. President, to close bids.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Bids are closed for 702 Ashland.
So, Mr. President, I've received 4 bids in my file. The first one is from Smith & Sons. It's in the amount of $10,500. Again, $10,500. The second is from Acting Contracting, LLC. It's in the amount of $9,100. Again, $9,100. The third is from J. Schaffner, General Contractor, Inc. It's in the amount of $16,800. Again, $16,800. The final is from KB Excavating Company, Inc. in the amount of $13,600. Again, $13,600. And that's it.
Thank you, Amber.
So, Mr. President, what you will want to do is refer these bids to my office in planning for formal review and recommendation at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. I'll make that motion then, that we will refer these bids to our attorney's office to review, make sure everything's in order, and she'll provide her recommendations at our next meeting.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. And next, we'll move on to demolition of 235 F Street, owner Jamal Taylor. Are there any vendors here wishing to submit any bids, any more bids on this demolition of 235 F Street? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to close bids.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close bids for the demolition of 235 F Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Amber.
So we've received 4 bids. The first one is from Smith & Sons. It's in the amount of $12,500. Again, $12,500. Second is from Acting Contracting LLC. It's an amount of $12,950. $12,950. The third is from J. Schaffner General Contractor, Inc. It's in the amount of $18,000. Again, $18,000. And the final is from Pavey Excavating Company, Inc. In the amount of $14,985. Again, $14,985. And that's it.
Thank you, Amber. And once again, I will make a motion to refer the review of these bids to our attorney for her recommendations.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to, has the bidding process closed already on the Edgewood Street property, Amber?
It did. It closed
Okay.
10 days after the second publication.
Okay, thank you.
And we did receive 1 bid. It is from an adjacent property owner, Indiana Invesco LLC. The amount of the bid is $1,500.
Okay, thank you. And as I understand it, we have the option of accepting this bid, allowing you to negotiate on our behalf, and are we required to set a minimum if we have you negotiate?
So what we should do is this. When we got the property appraised, we set the offering price at the appraisal plus the cost of the appraisal and recording fees. So our opening bid we set at $9,725. Because it is an adjacent property owner, because we only received one bid, Indiana law allows this board to negotiate that if this board so chooses. So this board could decline all the offers, or this board could table this, set it for executive session, give me authority then to negotiate with Mr. Pers and then come back and possibly award this.
Board's pleasure.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to decline the offer and authorize Ms. LePage Stallbreak to negotiate.
And is part of that an executive session also? Part of that?
If the board would like to schedule the executive session, I would recommend that so I know what authority I have to negotiate.
Adding an executive session as part of the process.
Okay, we have a motion to decline this offer and hold an executive session and give Mr. Page permission to negotiate on our behalf on this piece of property.
And it would be just with Indiana Investco, because
Yes.
they're the only ones that submitted a
Yes.
bid.
Yes, okay. Any other comments or questions regarding this? Hearing none. There is a motion. I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have correspondence regarding the issue we just talked about, the Edgewood Street property from, we received from Ken Pers regarding the sale of that property. I think it's just worthy of mention that we have it, and I think, Amber, you are in possession of that as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to approval of agreement. Michael Norland, Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation, NICD, is requesting approval of an agreement regarding ownership, operation, and maintenance of 11th Street Station and parking structure between the Board of Public Works and Safety and NICD, commencing from the date first written to December 31st, 2070. Is Mr. Norland present today? Do you have, I mean, I attended the workshop. I know the mayor attended the workshop. Do you have anything else to add? I know I've spoken to our attorney and nothing has changed in that agreement since that workshop.
Nothing has changed. I have nothing to add unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the public regarding this issue?
Morning.
Please state your name and address.
Paul Presbolensky, 1716 Washington Street, Councilman, 2nd Ward. I brought up at the workshop a problem that I saw after seeing some of the documents, finally after this long period of time, that this has been carried over and set in, I believe, with NICTA. And my point was, I have a issue with closing some of these, streets, and particularly at this time, the way the station is designed with Pine Street being closed down, and I feel that at the discussion at the workshop, it was brought out that would delay the project, but it could be looked at from what my interpretation. So with that, I also have a problem with Carroll Street being shut down. Because if you go over in that area of town, that's one of the main intersectors to get from the northeast side of town to the south end of town for those people that live in that area. So, and then also in this packet that was filed, which was given October 28th to the clerk's office, there's a lot of information on the actual design that we didn't have at the workshop. So I, in the spring of this year, asked the planning department if they had a traffic study, if they had done a traffic study. And I was told that Micah did one. Well, I haven't seen any of that. I haven't got any information on that. So, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize how much traffic you're even talking about putting on Franklin Street, Wabash Street, and Washington Street. That traffic is going to double at least. And I believe that we need another north-south intersector open, especially with all the traffic coming to this station. So, if it's okay, since we saw in this packet some of the design factor on the loading ramps, if it's okay for passengers to cross the tracks, the way it's designed, why isn't it okay to leave Pine Street open and move the boarding station to the edge of the street? Now, that's a design factor, and it was brought out that, you know, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work in the design. Well, here's what I will say. Something better work, because once this is done, Michigan City's going to be stuck with it. And I'm looking at this at different directions. Carroll Street is on the east side of town. That's not my area that I represent. But this is a community issue. This is about Michigan City and what we're going to end up with. So do you want to close off these neighborhoods? Do you really want to do that? Because I want to say today that the fire department said it was okay, but is it really okay with response time? Have we ever run any drills on any scenarios instead of just getting the okay from the ex-fire chief? Have we? I haven't seen any of that information. So there's a lot of flaws in this program. And I think that NICTA is getting everything they want, and the city of Michigan City is getting maybe 1/10 of what they need. And this is another point. When I was discussing this issue from the very beginning, and I've been following it, I don't recall them getting all of 11th Street. I thought it was just on the west side of Michigan City. The whole 11th Street's going to be shut down. So I think that and when we're taking into account that that's part of our contribution, I got a problem with that. You know what the problem is? If NICTA can't afford it, then the redevelopment commission, since I believe most of that's in the redevelopment area, that property should have been bought and leased to NICTA so that we don't shut down 11th Street. And that's another thing that I'm bringing out today. We have not had a workshop yet with the redevelopment commission to find out how much money they have, how they're bonded out, and how much they're sitting on. It's like a secret society there. And my other point is this. I thought we lived in a democratic society. I thought people are elected to positions for the good of the community. I have a real problem with this agreement, and that is on the definitions of the agreement, and when you approve it, that this is a final written in stone with no input from the elected officials of the city of Michigan City. Under this definition of community, the city of Michigan City, Indiana, including all boards, districts, commissions, and public officials and any other entity serving the city of Michigan City will not have any input. That the Board of Works will be the sole acting agency. And I'll tell you this, that I believe in the Constitution of America. I took an oath to that Constitution. I believe in the Constitution of the state of Indiana. And I took an oath on that. And I will tell you, what are you doing here? Is this part of the New Deal? The tyranny that a board's going to take away the power from an elected official? I think you guys should table this and let the council get some more information on from the Redevelopment Commission where they sit. Because I know there's other council members that don't feel good about this. And some of them are working today and I don't think they could be here. But the fact of the matter is I want everybody in the public to know that this board, an appointed board, the mayor appointed himself, is going to make a decision and taking power away or any input of opinion from the city council. I believe that's very unconstructive to get things done and move forward in the city. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
Any board members? Hopefully you can hear me okay. Brian Prince-Vansky, Councilman at Large, Michigan City, live at 215 Gardena Street. And the first, I have a number of topics I want to talk about on this subject. But the first one I want to talk about is, just as Councilman Paul Prince-Vansky spoke about, is the city council has been involved with this process from day one. We voted on many things. We voted on an agreement that even if we all agreed upon it, the governor still had the right to override it. So that didn't make much sense to me. But why? Here we are with probably the final agreement, I'm thinking, that the city council does not even get a vote on this agreement. The Board of Works, and I see two Board of Works members here today, not all three, but two Board of Works members are going to vote on this decision that's going to affect Michigan City for 50 years. This agreement, and I don't know if anybody here even read this agreement, probably not, but this agreement that I hold in my hands here is going to be valid for 50 years. We won't even be here in 50 years, but this is going to affect the city of Michigan City for 50 years, and two people, one elected and one appointed, are going to vote on this decision for a city of 30,000 people. Now let me ask you, Mr. President, have you read this document from front to cover?
Yes, I have.
Okay. You understand everything about it?
Yes, I do.
And you understand how the city's going to finance all these different jobs and everything else they have to do?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm going to ask the questions and hopefully you'll be able to answer them. Number one, why is the city of Michigan City getting involved with the 50-year contract? Who says that this agreement has to be for 50 years? If you bought something and the dealer says, well, not the dealer, but if you bought something or had something and you wanted to get a 50-year agreement out of it, what do you think the other party would say? You know, how is the city going to deal with this in 25 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, down the road, but yet you're tied into a 50-year agreement. How are you going to get out of the agreement?
Well, I'll answer your questions when it's our time to comment,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. So that's question number one. How does the city plan to get out of any part of this agreement? The next thing is with the safety of the citizens in the neighborhoods of Michigan City, where these streets are going to be closed off. There's going to be 15, 18 streets, whatever the number is, between 15 and 18 streets, are going to be closed off. That's the fire department, and I think the answer is going to be no, because I already asked that question this morning to the assistant chief. As the fire department put their equipment down every one of these streets in Michigan City where the street's going to be blocked off, and do they have a plan to fight a fire at the very end of that cul-de-sac and try to get that equipment out of there and turn it around? Is there a plan? Is there a written plan in the city of Michigan City? And with the Michigan City Fire Department, is there a written plan, Assistant Chief, that the city has right now at the fire station, that when this project goes in, that the citizens of Michigan City feel confident that that fire truck's going to get down to their house, be able to put that fire out, or that ambulance is going to be able to get down to that house and get that person that just had a heart attack? If you'd like to answer that, sure. Because that's the question I'm asking, so.
Mr. President, thank you. The question that was asked before Councilman came up here was about Carroll, and if we had any means of any type of action on that, and under Mayor Perry's tenure and under Director Skylar York's advice, I believe that we are going to conduct some exercises here in the near future where we're going to be blocking off some streets to see what the response time is going to be. So as of today's date, no, we have not accomplished that, but that's not to say that we're not going to do that in the near future. Do I have 100% confidence in our department? Yes, I do. So with that being said, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. But that's not to say, but now we're going to sign an agreement before the tests are even run. So what if the tests are run and it doesn't work? Does this agreement, is it void? Is it void at that time? All that work should have even been done prior to us coming here today and sitting down and signing a contract. How can you sign a contract when things aren't even done yet? It makes no sense. And I'm sure it doesn't make sense to the people in Michigan City that are going to be watching this program to know that, well, the city hasn't even done a study yet to see if the fire department is going to be able to get down this street. So how can we be signing a contract? It makes no sense whatsoever. And I hope that the people that live on these streets, and especially live in those neighborhoods where these cul-de-sacs are going to be at, where these streets are going to be closed off, I certainly hope they contact their city representative, meaning the council person, and most of all, that they contact the mayor's office and the board of works members to let them know how they feel on this contract. Okay, the next question that I have, and this here goes into the operation of the garage. And it says here, and this is on, well, there's no page number, but it's Article 7 under the rights and responsibilities, and it deals with the district or its contractors. And it says, until such time as the district provides written authorization to the community
to begin to charge and collect fees for use of the parking structure by the district, commuters, and non-commuters. The district shall pay to the community an additional amount of the actual cost of the operation expenses and maintenance expenses for the structure. This amount shall be calculated. Okay, my question is, when will this begin? When will that begin to when the district will begin paying that money to the city? And also, who will run this? Who's going to run this parking garage for the city? What's the additional cost going to be after the district stops paying for it? Because I'm sure the district isn't going to be paying the city for this parking garage for 25, 30 years. So has the city taken that into consideration as far as costs and the operation of this? Okay, now here's what the community's going to do. And I'm sure that all the citizens in Michigan City are aware of this, which I doubt they are. Says the community, after the completion of the rail project, they're going to perform the day-to-day operation and maintenance of the parking structure. Okay? I will want that question explained to me, how the city plans on doing that. Who's going to pay for that? And who's hiring the people for that? Is Nick going to be paying these people, or does the city have to pay these people to do the work? And if we are going to pay them, where are we getting the money from? Because right now we don't have money to pay anybody. Okay, next question. All right, on a day-to-day basis, the city will have to monitor the use of the parking structure, making reasonable efforts to ensure the structure that non-commuters do not use the commuter reserved parking spaces in the parking structure Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, or during other periods of exclusive district commuter use as further set forth in section 6 below. So, does that mean that the city has to have someone driving through the parking garage on an hourly basis in a pickup truck to make sure that there's somebody that's not supposed to be parking in that garage? If that's, and hopefully we have an explanation for that this morning. Who's going to do that? Is Nick going to be doing that? And we're paying Nick the employee? Or is Nick going to be paying the city to have a city employee drive through that parking lot once an hour, once every 4 hours, to make sure only the cars that are parked in that parking lot are people using that train, and not people that are parked there going down the shop downtown between the hours of 6 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Okay, Dick. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. The other question, okay, the other thing that the responsibility is responsible for, or its contractors, to keep the parking structure and fee collecting apparatus in good order, condition, repair, including but not limited to cleaning, power washing, lighting, striping, restriping, and structural signage, and to perform all these contractual obligations in a reasonable, timely manner, not as to delay the schedule of rail project and availability of the district commuter spaces. And I have one more page of questions. And we did have the workshop, and that was great. I appreciate that. But there's always questions that come up, and this is the opportunity, since I'm representing voters, not voters, but citizens of Michigan City throughout the whole city. I don't represent a particular ward. That I can guarantee you that the people in Michigan City don't even know that this agreement is sitting here for a vote this morning. And I can guarantee you, until we saw this agreement a month ago that we didn't know exactly what was in the agreement. And that's why the people in Michigan City elected us to our offices to ask these questions, because otherwise we're going to be stuck with an agreement that we're going to have to deal with, and the people in Michigan City are going to come back and say, well, what did the city do? Why did we do this? And that's why I'm here this morning, and I'm sure that's why Councilman Paul Przybylski is here this morning, to do what we're elected to do, to defend and make sure the people know exactly what's going on with the city business. Anyway, and then there's some other cost categories. And hopefully, Nick D. and the board can talk about it. But here's the cost categories, the operations, which includes a lot of day-to-day stuff, the cost category, maintenance, okay, that's all in here. The annual general maintenance and repairs, you know, who's paying for all this on a day-to-day basis, a month-to-month basis? Is Nick going to be paying for all this for 50 years in this agreement? If they are, then that's great. If not, then when does the city, here's my question, clear as a bell, when does the city take over the cost of operating this garage, and when does Nick D stop paying for the operation of the garage? Or is it a combination of two for 50 years, or is it a combination of two for 10 years? Those are the questions I want to have answered this morning. Again, thank you for your time, and for whatever reason, and I don't know the legalities behind it, but I know the Board of Works getting to vote on this, and I don't know why the City Council didn't get the chance to vote on this when we have been voting on everything up to now, except for the final agreement and what effect this is going to have on the city of Michigan City for 50 years. Not right to the council people. We're the elected officials for the city of Michigan City. We're the ones that are accountable to the voters of Michigan City, and we should have been included in the agreement signing. And to the city attorney, if I could, Amber, have an explanation. You don't have to give it to me now, but just send out an explanation to all the city council people as to why we weren't involved with the final agreement signing. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments regarding this issue? Now, I'm just going to make a statement now, Mr. Przybylski, that you've had an opportunity already. I'm not going to shut you down right now, but we're not going to be coming back and forth. We need to put an end to this. We need to put an end to this at some point in time.
Yes, we do, don't we?
Yes.
Thank you. So, additionally to what Councilman Don Przybylski said, in his agreement, the representation that was put out there that it's going to be free parking to the citizens of Michigan City after 2 p.m. it's kind of ambiguously being put out there, because in the agreement it states that when the district starts charging, everybody will get charged to use that garage. It's in the agreement. So I truly have issues with many things in this document. And the other issue that was spoken about before is, you know, when it comes to public safety, it's just like this. Truly. how many fire trucks are out of service and what units you're going to have to respond to some of these neighborhoods that are cut off. I believe we got 2 trucks out of service right now, and so that leaves a limited use. A lot of people in the public don't understand that, what's going on within the fire department. And fire safety is very important, no doubt, just like police protection is very important. So I would just hope that the board takes a step back and that we take some more time on this to get some figures on from the redevelopment commission. And you know, my brother Don asked for a workshop months ago, and then a few weeks ago we have this workshop, and now 3 weeks later we have a document sitting in front of the public to be voted on. And I think that we need to have more input to protect the city of Michigan City and what's going on this development. But I do believe that the board should not be taking our right away to vote on a resolution on our feelings of what's in this contract or get a better deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Mr. President, before we close this, I would like to ask both of the Mr. Przybylskis that came to the microphone, ask questions that can be addressed. There are several department heads here right now. And I see Deputy Fire Chief Kyle Kazmierzak. I see our Planning Director, Skylar York. Our Traffic Officer, Captain Lanuski. I think they pose questions that they want answered. I don't quite understand everything because this is not new to Michigan City. This has been kicking around for at least 8 years. It was with me the 4 years I was on the council from 12 to 16, and it was here before that. And Councilman Don Przybylski was on the council in 16 when Council President Tim Beatrice and then Mayor Ron Mears signed the agreement. Agreements cannot be entered into and jumped out of as government officials change. Agreements are agreements and they're finalized. So when I was on the council, we were deadlocked on the first resolution. We worked our way through it, but it then became final. I think some questions can be answered here, but the council had its chance. You can, if you got a question, you can call Mr. Beatrice or Mr. Meir and ask them. They signed the official agreement that we're bound by now.
Okay, can we take one pause for a minute, please? We've lost our connection with Mrs. Keating, so I'm going to call her back, and I also want to let Mike Dempsey know that I received a text that there's no sound on the live broadcast on 97. Pardon me? Oh, okay. Okay, all right, thank you. But I'm going to call Mrs. Keating right now so that we have her back participating with this meeting. Hello, Virginia. Yeah, we lost our other connection, so yes. I'm calling you back now so that you can hear what's going on and participate as necessary.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. President, just to respond back to what Mayor Perry said, and when we worked on this agreement, apparently back 4 years ago, that I don't plan on calling Councilman Beatrice. I don't plan on calling ex-mayor Meir on this particular subject because they no longer represent the people of Michigan City. We represent the people of Michigan City. That's why I came here this morning to ask these questions. And I'm not going to go around and ask, and I specifically asked the president to have answers, and he says he would have answers for these. Go ahead and read your questions. Well, apparently we don't have the answers.
I said that once we're done with public comments, I will respond to your concerns.
And I don't plan on asking every one of these department heads and going around from department to department to ask them these questions, because the chances are, I'm sure they don't have the answers to this stuff. You know, like the operations of the garage. Does Skylar York have all the details on the operations of the garage and every specific item that I read off? Do you have an answer to every one of them? Pardon? Okay. And the fire department already answered that they did not do a study yet, and they don't have the answers to this. They're going to do it now. After the agreement is signed, the fire department's going to go out, take their trucks, run around the neighborhoods, and see if they turn around or whatever specific exercise they're going to go. So I didn't come here. I came here to ask questions. I came here to ask questions for the public, for the citizens of Michigan City that I represent. I didn't come here to ask questions to put anybody on the spot. You know, this is America. And this is what elected officials get elected for, is to come here and represent the people. Not to sit here, well, if you want an answer, then go back and call the ex-mayor or call back Councilman Beatrice, because he was the president of the council at that time. Totally disrespectful. I'm just here trying to do my job. Thank you.
Thank you. I think before we move to board comments, I'm going to ask if any of the department heads that Mayor Perry mentioned, if you have anything to add to this discussion today.
Mr. President, if I may just briefly, can you hear me? Is my microphone
Yes.
working? Okay. So almost 4 years, well, it is 4 years ago, our Common Council passed Resolution 4661, which set forth the whole double track agreement. It set forth the street closures. It set forth the whole garage. We are not talking with the agreement in front of this board today. We are not talking about street closures. That was already decided 4 years ago. This agreement today deals with the day-to-day operations of the parking garage, which was set up 4 years ago from the Common Council for us to now deal with. So that's what today is. It's the day-to-day operations of this parking garage. And to answer your question about the 50 years, I asked that question right off the bat. And I was concerned about a 50-year contract. And the answer I was given is that it was a requirement of the FTA. And our out provision in this contract is if there is no appropriation of monies in the budget, that's our out provision in this contract. But I did ask those hard questions about the 50 years. And I did ask the hard question of, do we even have to do this? But it was a partnership that was devised 4 years ago. And so now we have to put the pieces together on how to manage this thing on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear about what we're talking about. It's just the garage today.
Thank you. Skylar, were you?
Sorry. Good morning, board. I'll probably ask Mr. Kazmierzak to come up here as well in a minute. But I'd like to say that, yes, we have taken consideration of the impacts of levels of service. So we want to maintain levels of service to all of our citizens here, right? Provide the same level of service now, after as we provide now. we've worked with the fire department. I would say there are areas in the city right now that are probably, from a standpoint of access, worse than what will be created here. They're already servicing cul-de-sacs. They're already servicing tighter areas than this. You can think of the Sheridan Beach area, areas like that. These guys are going to go wherever they can. I have 100% confidence in them. But we have worked with them. I know we've been working with them for, maybe 4 years, 5 years on this. We even reviewed the cul-de-sacs originally with that when they first started talking about it. They had input on that. I've personally seen them fight fires from alleys or run lines down alleys, things of that nature. They're gonna go where they can and they're gonna find a way. Again, I would just say that yes, this is just echoing Amber. This is not the decisions for closures was filed many years ago, or years ago. This is simply the day-to-day operations of this garage and how do we accomplish that. We want to be ready for it. We have, during the construction, we'll have 2 to 3 years of construction. We don't want to be caught not knowing how to operate this garage. We want to be planning for that. What equipment do we need? Things of that nature. Thinking of other questions. I can't remember all the questions right now that were asked. But yes, we have reviewed this in levels of service. We've spoken with the street department about how they're going to plow, how we're going to remove snow. We've had these discussions. Yes, we have. So,
Skyler, can you talk a little bit about the development around that area and how the parking garage will come into play with that development?
So the parking garage, meaning new development around it. So the parking garage could be used for offset of new development. If new development happened there, there could be some shared parking options. Right now, it's a piece of this contract. You probably saw in there that we reserve a right to negotiate some parking later on for when we develop our Franklin Street side of the. We're reserving 7,500 square feet on Franklin Street, the redevelopment commission. At a time when we find a developer to develop that, we'll have a mixed-use building there. We are reserving a right inside this inside the document that you have to negotiate with NICD, which we've been assured that at that time we will negotiate some private parking so that we can do some shared parking. I think it's very hard for me to get a developer to take that piece of property if I don't have that right to, or if they don't have that right to be guaranteed parking. So it's a very important piece of that document as well. So yes, we have taken a lot of time to review this document. There are outs in it, as Amber has said. If we dealing with appropriations, things of that nature, there are outs for us and outs for NICD as well. So, sorry, Phil, as if I'm rambling a little bit, but I think Kyle, did you want to add anything to this, please? We've had lots of discussions with fire department, and actually we just had a meeting where we actually had ambulance service there as well. The Port County ambulance service was there. Street department, all the departments were there.
No, yeah, thank you, Director. He pretty much took all the words right out of my mouth. The only thing that I would like to clarify is to say that we don't have a plan in place is ludicrous. We have a plan in place. To say that there's something documented from front to back, side to side, we don't have anything documented. And that was my statement from earlier, and I do apologize because my intention was not to come here and talk about this, it was to talk about the physical fitness. But I can tell you we've had numerous workshops, we've been out canvassing, Chief Krivak, the fire marshal, and I, we've looked at hydrants, we've looked at how we're going to respond to certain areas in the city, and I will reiterate the fact that we have cul-de-sacs and tighter quarters not so far away from here, down here on Lakeshore Drive, that nobody seems to care about right now. And there are actually streets there that we can access, but that doesn't seem to be a problem. Not to get away from what Attorney LePage Stallbring said, this is about a parking garage, and I think that's where we need to stay focused at. And the conditions of our equipment, again, I kind of take that personally because we're doing everything we possibly can, and to be called out on the carpet to say that our equipment, and this is how I took this, is dilapidated and cannot respond to the city, again, it's egregious. And I don't appreciate that at all. And if there's a problem that we need to discuss internally about the fire department and its response, I would ask that we do it at our fire station at 2510 East Michigan Boulevard and not in this setting under these auspices.
Thank you. Captain Lineski, does police department or traffic have any concerns related to this before we move on?
Yes. Good morning, Captain Jeff Lineski, Traffic Division. I don't have too much to add as far as the planning. I know the previous administration, police administration, was involved in that planning along with the previous mayor and previous city director, city planner. At that time, we did express some concerns, but we're told that the benefits that this project would bring to the city would balance out some of the extended response times. I can say that just recently, NICD did form a safety committee that's comprised of all the police departments, fire departments, EMS agencies that are involved or affected by the double tracking. And we did have one meeting so far. And I know they are making attempts to address some of the problems or some of the issues that weren't, I guess, forecasted in the previous planning. Other than that, I have no other comments.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Nolan, you had indicated before that you'd like to add some more to this.
I think Amber hit one of the principal points that I was going to make is this agreement is not about closing any of the streets. The council agreed to that. There are commitments that we have made in this agreement. It's an agreement between two of us. We're not going to go back on our commitments, Mayor, and I expect that the city will live up to their commitments. So that what we have before today is a discussion of how we're going to operate the parking garage. That's it. And so I'm happy to answer questions about the parking garage. I will point out there was one question about whether it was free or not. It's never been discussed in the agreement that it will be long-term free. What the 2016 agreement says is that if the city is maintaining the garage, they can charge our customers, the NICD customers, for parking. But if they do charge for parking, then it has to be the same rate that they charge the residents who use it after the commuters are done. There's no obligation to charge. But if we do charge, it's just going to be the same rate for either commuters or non-commuters. So that's what was in the provision in that agreement. So I wanted to clear that up, and if there's other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm going to address a couple issues first. I think that it's already been addressed what the outs in this contract are. I'm sure you heard that both sides of this agreement have the ability to get out if they feel the need to do so. But one thing I want to add, and this is a takeaway I had from the workshop we had, that if 15 years from now the city decides we want out of this contract, this agreement to maintain and operate this garage, then effectively what we're going to be doing is taking away citizens' ability to park in that garage when it's not being used by NICD customers. And at least from my point of view, I see this building, this parking structure, creating a way to alleviate the parking issues that we have in downtown Michigan City now. And I don't think there's anyone that can argue that we don't have those issues. And this is something that can help with that. As Amber said, the 50 years agreement is a requirement by the feds. So if we're going to get into this, we have to adhere to their regulations as well.
As far as charging fees and who's going to be paying for maintenance, that was one of the biggest questions asked. Again, as I understood it from the workshop, that if and until NICD decides to start charging parking in all of their facilities, it wouldn't just be this structure, it would be all of their stations. All of our costs generated, whether it's through personnel or materials, whatever might happen, we send a bill to NICD and NICD reimburses the city. So yes, we will have an outlay of expense to begin with, but that will come back to us. And then down the road, as I also understood in the workshop, is that NICD will also, in part of their plan, there's some storefronts, if I'm not mistaken, things like that, that those fees, and if they start charging parking fees, that there will be fees from that coming back to continuously reimburse the city for the cost of operating this garage. Now, I can't tell you whether there will be $90,000 a year coming back at that point in time, but until NICD is charging for parking, we are reimbursed all of our maintenance costs. Am I interpreting that correct, Amber? Okay.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. The charging of the fees, Mr. Nolan just said, we could decide to charge fees before they did, but we would have to charge everybody the same rate. And there's, as far as the safety issue, I think Assistant Chief Kazmierzak has talked to that, as has Planner Skylar York. I have every faith in our emergency management personnel that no matter what issue is thrown in front of them, they're going to find a way to work around that, because they serve the people of the city as well. And the safety of the city is their primary focus. So it's no secret from the beginning of this, however many years ago, I was never a fan of closing down streets. But again, that's not part of our discussion today. That ship has sailed. That agreement was signed. And so could it be changed? Probably, but I don't see the point at this point in time. It'll just hold up the process. I see this personally as a win-win situation for the city of Michigan City. And did I answer your questions? Don? Yes, okay. Somewhat. Okay. I don't know if I have anything else to say right now, but Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to make one comment. I resent some of the statements that were made. This government is not a secret society. We've been open. And the executive branch of Michigan City's government, which consists of me, the clerk's office, and my administration, we have stayed in our lane in this process. There was a time when we were not involved in it before I became mayor, and it was well within the lane of the council's activities. We are within our lane right now. We are staying in our lane. We are doing our job. Specifically, I resent the comments made by Councilman Paul Przybylski that the information has not been shared. No attempt has been made by the administration. I have offered several times to arrange meetings between key members of the Redevelopment Commission and people that are involved in this project to give you whatever information you ask for, and you have refused you have refused to attend those meetings because you don't like those people. Well, sometimes, and when I say several times, I'm not talking one or two, I'm talking probably 4 or 5 times I have offered to arrange meetings that you have refused to attend. So don't tell the public that this administration is not tried, because we have. Just because you don't like what you're going to hear doesn't mean that you shouldn't hear it. If you ask for the information, you're going to get it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. I know, Virginia, you're here by telephone. Do you have anything you'd like to add? I can hold you up to the microphone here.
No, Keith, I'm satisfied with everything that I've heard.
Okay, thank you. With that, we have one more thing I want to add. And I know the question was asked by both council members. Why does the Board of Works get to sign this and the council has no input? Isn't it the job of the Board of Works, Amber, to sign all contracts with the City of Michigan City?
It is, but when the council laid this out in 2016, they contemplated that this separate agreement would be coming. And this separate agreement lays out the day-to-day activity. And the council does the appropriating of money. And I thought it was best served by this board to discuss with all the different departments, as we've done, to try to figure out how we're going to implement an agreement that was generated back in 2016, how to do this day to day. So that's why it's in front of this board.
Okay, thank you. And I don't make that statement to take anything away from the city council at all, just to be clear. And the only thing I see I did not address, Don, that you would question was, you know, who's going to be doing, the city's going to be doing the work. Employees of the city will be maintaining this facility. But again, all costs are going to be reimbursed by NICD. In some fashion or another, either they're not charging fees, or it gets to the point where they are, and that is rolled over to us in order to recoup our costs. One more time. Yeah.
Just ask a question about that. I mean, that's a good point. I'm glad that you answered the question. So if NICD, if we get reimbursed for the cost for somebody to go plow the snow, are we just talking about an hourly wage, or does that mean we have to go and buy a small snow plow now to take care of that parking garage? Does that mean that we have to hire a new individual in the street department to make sure they're down there every day in the wintertime when it's snowing, to make sure that that garage is in tip-top, snow-free shape, so that the city does not have any liability of anybody slipping and sliding and hurting themselves? So does that mean that NICD picks up the insurance and all the other things that go along with hiring a person to do that work? Or do they just reimburse us for the $15 an hour for the employee? Understand my point here?
Yeah, I understand what you're asking. Yes.
Yeah, that's my concern. You know, what are we doing? Are we doing this level, $15 an hour to go plow the snow? Do we get reimbursed for that? Or if we're saying no, because now what you're doing is you're taking a truck off the city streets and you're sticking it in this parking garage, where are we going to have to hire somebody else to go into that parking garage to make sure it's clean all the time? That's my point here, to try to find out what these questions and answers are. And apparently the board doesn't know it, and we're saying we're going to be working these things out. Well, if we're working things out, we're only 2 years away from this parking garage going in service. Correct, Mike? 2 years? Yeah. 2 years down the road, 2023, when this parking garage goes. So we're going to have to know how this thing is going to be financed who's paying for what, and to what degree are we going to be doing this? Thank you.
Amber, do you have any?
We do, because we did outline insurance, we outlined indemnity, and if they're, so basically, with respect to our obligations under this contract, we would be liable for them. We've run this by insurance. Insurance knows this is coming forward. With respect to any of the obligations for NICD under this contract, they would be liable for those obligations. So for the general maintenance, Mr. Prespolinski is correct that if there is some type of issue where there's a slip and fall, that's going to fall back on us. So that we're going to have to perform our duties to maintain it.
Okay. Like any other part of the city, if we don't maintain the streets and someone slips and falls, then the city's liable as well. Yeah, I mean, just as an example.
As an example, yes.
Yeah. In regards to his question regarding, the hourly wage to go in and plow or clean or whatever, is that what is covered in the agreement that NICD will reimburse?
Correct.
Okay. And if we contracted with someone else to do some of that work, a non-employee, that gets billed to NICD as well?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. We have any other comments from the board? Mayor? None? Virginia, do you have any more?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Then I guess, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Mayor Perry. I'm going to second that motion. Any other comments from the board regarding this before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And if no one heard, Mrs. Keating voted aye as well. So all in favor, motion passes. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to an agreement. Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, is requesting approval of a service exchange agreement between American Fidelity Assurance Company and the City of Michigan City for flex spending services.
So Ms. Smith could not be here. She has another meeting to attend. But this would simply be a change of our vendor who is doing the flex spending. There's no cost or anything associated with it to the city. We would just be changing the vendor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions regarding this request?
No, sir.
Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, extension of physical fitness testing. The Michigan City Fire Department is requesting to extend the fall physical fitness testing until November 13th, 2020. Kyle, do you have anything to, can I ask a reason, why you're requesting? No.
Good morning, Mr. President. This extension and the three after this, we do have some on-the-job injuries that occurred while they were on shift, either due to training or going on numerous calls. The first one, the extension, I want to do a blanket extension because we do and have had some individuals that are out because of COVID-related issues. So this just gives them the opportunity to get that physical fitness completed in their time allotment.
Okay, and when was the original deadline?
End of October.
End of October.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any questions for?
I have one question for Deputy Chief Kazmierzak. You got 4 people on here, 4 firefighters that are asking for extensions because of light duty, and you just said that it's work-related injuries. Is there an issue there? If 4 of your firefighters been hurt? Do we need to look at the safety and what they're doing?
We have conducted after-action reviews on these and found that they were just merely accidents. While we were doing search and rescue, one individual got their hand stepped on. Another one was a shoulder injury that we could not have prevented. The third one, just to see who we have, he also had a bicep tear while performing training evolutions. So I don't know if there's anything that could have prevented those. We do conduct stretching and we do other things before we start our rigorous training. But as far as these 3 incidents go, we have done after action reviews and found that there was nothing we probably could have done to prevent that.
Okay, thank you.
In regards to the blanket for November 13th, extending it to, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Michigan City Fire Department extending their fall physical fitness testing till November 13th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have Alan Craigbaum is requesting extension of time for his physical fitness testing due to being on light duty. And we just heard Deputy Chief Kazmierzak explain why. Do we have a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve. I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. And next we have Kyle Gish requesting the same extension of time for his physical fitness testing due to being on light duty. If I'm not mistaken, before we say anything else, I think 2 of these 3 said they would be able to complete their physical fitness testing by the end of 2020. And 1, which is the one we just voted on, said he would be able to, he didn't give a deadline, the end of 2020, but he was also asking for the bonus they received, $325, to be encumbered to next year. And I had spoken to Yvonne Hoffmaster. She said this is not an irregular request. It's been done before. So I just wanted to make note of that.
You're talking about firefighter Craig Bond?
Yes, sir.
Would you, Deputy Chief, would you comment on the extent of his injury? Seems like sounds like it's a little bit more severe than the others.
Just for HIPAA purposes, I would not disclose any type of medical information publicly.
Correct. I apologize. I withdraw my request.
Okay. But just one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Would that injury prevent him from completing his physical fitness?
The current injury that he has sustained does hinder him from completing it by the end of this year, as he's going to have to seek further treatment. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And we had already, do we need to re-vote on that since the encumbered?
You could clarify the motion that you approved the extension into 2021.
Okay. Okay. Then I will do that now and restate the motion for firefighter Craig Baum that we are extending his time frame of completing his physical fitness testing into 2021 and encumbering his bonus till then as well. Do we need to revote, or is that just?
Can you please revote on that?
Okay, that's my motion.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Virginia, did you hear that okay?
I did.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry for having to backtrack there. Next, we have Kyle Gish requesting an extension of time for his physical fitness testing due to being on light duty. I'll make a motion to approve this request.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next we have Joseph Gunchin. Michigan City Fire Department is requesting an extension of time for his physical fitness testing due to being on light duty. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next we have vendor license. Ron Landtroop, a Slice of Heaven, is requesting the renewal of his mobile food vendor license, 6 months, to be located at Brandt's Old Fashioned Feed and Pet Store, located at 309 Michigan Boulevard. It looks as though everything is in order. Mr. Landtroop usually does have it. Amber, have you reviewed this?
Yes, everything is in order.
Okay, very good. And he's been there a while, so with that, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve.
Support.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the claims docket. Municipal claims, $159,190.86. Health and life, $264,717.59. Workman's compensation, mailman must be at Virginia.
Yeah.
Workers' compensation, $23,499.54 for a total claims of $447,407.99. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the claims consisting of municipal claims, health, life, and workman's comp for a total of $447,407.99.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to the payroll docket for October 23rd, 2020 in the amount of $557,795.93. And I will make the motion to approve that October 23rd payroll in the amount of $557,795.93.
Support.
We have a motion and a second to approve payroll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to our pending list of unfinished business. The first on the list is, this was Paul Prisbalinski's concern over the old hanging poles wires that belonged to NIPSCO or Comcast after NIPSCO put up new poles. We continued that to today. I think all board members received a letter that City Engineer Jeff Wright sent to NIPSCO asking the question about when some of these might be started to be removed. I'm sure that if he'd received an answer, we would have had one by now. So my recommendation would be to leave this on the pending list until we hear further. Next, we'll move on to Michael and Renita Samuels, South Woodland Ave, to have a city install a deaf child area sign, both south and northbound lanes. I know one sign was installed. Did we get any information back on the second sign? We did not. Okay. Yes, Sean, please.
Sean Smith, Michigan City Street Director, 1801 Kentucky Street. We're currently waiting for locates for the southbound traffic going back towards Michigan Boulevard.
Okay.
We should have that sign in about 48 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Then
Mr. President, I know we were waiting on the filled application from the homeowners. Did we ever get that into the clerk's office?
Okay, could we ask the clerk's office to send another letter to these folks, making sure they get that in?
Because
thank you.
If I remember correctly, the board conditionally approved that request subject to the receipt of that filled out application.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this will stay on the pending list for the time being till our next meeting. Next, Myra Remmel, 139 Board Circle, requesting approval to place a split rail fence in Cul-De-Sac in Edgewood to protect evergreen trees. I know we continued this to today. Mayor, I believe you went out last week.
I was unable to make it, but our street director, Mr. Sean Smith, was out, and I believe a solution has been generated.
Okay.
I met with Myra Reynolds, also the residents at 133, 139, 141, and 155 Boyd Circle. They're requesting a split rail fence that's going to be 26 foot in length, 6 feet away from the pavement. The street department will bear no cost. We will not bear no supply costs. The only issue I have with this, we have to be able to access it to provide maintenance to the trees that are currently planted there. You also have utilities that's located in that cul-de-sac itself, so you're probably more likely going to have NIPSCO as well as our current departments, water department, so forth, utility companies access it. There's also additional residents' addresses on here. They should have to sign this to be bonded to it, because currently right now on this agreement it's just Myra herself and Mr. Chris Walker.
Amber, I know we discussed before that there would be an agreement.
There would if this board would want to give them permission to install this fence. I know there was discussion about putting those snow markers out, at least for this year, to see if it would help before we went the extent of letting them install the fence. So I'm not sure if that's still option one.
Yes, snow markers would be option one, along with taking smaller mobilized equipment in this cul-de-sac as opposed to a heavier tandem axle dump truck, from my understanding, over current years, was pushing the snow onto the fence. I recently spoke to all drivers. All cul-de-sacs will be done with either dead-end trucks or smaller mobilized equipment. Okay. But yes, to answer your question, I would recommend just the snow markers. But I believe the last meeting we was want to have to find a happy median. I would go with snow markers. If it's not feasible, then maybe my department could draft something and we could send it down to legal for approval.
Yeah. And I believe Ms. Remmel was not opposed to snow markers from our last meeting, so that would actually be my recommendation too. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we put snow markers up there this year and see how it goes. And so we won't need an agreement?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I think technically what you would be doing is the board would be making a motion to deny her request, at least for the time being, and then a motion to remove this from the pending list.
Okay. All right. Then I'll make that motion to remove or to decline her request for a split rail fence.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now then we would need a motion to remove this from the list.
Motion to remove this item from the list.
And I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And do we need a motion to put up the snow markers, or is that?
I don't believe you do. Mr. Smith's already represented that he'll take care of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to James Taylor, requesting a roadway access on Huron Ave and would also like a street light installed. We continued this until today. Skylar, is there anything new on this, or?
I think Jeff is just working on the street light. I've kind of left it up to him because it deals with your guys' right of way and engineering and building something in your right of way.
Okay, then we'll keep this on till next week. Or?
I think that's the only pending thing was the street light. I believe he's already said that he's okay with doing a drive in there to allow access.
Okay.
Obviously, they'll need to work with him on how exactly that's constructed. There's a culvert or something that needs to be put in.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and leave this on till our next meeting. Next, we're back to Cora Cambridge. Where I know we're waiting on an estimate. Well, we received an estimate. It was not necessarily an estimate from NIPSCO regarding this light, pole and light. It was, I think, it was stated that they put it up, and the way the city pays for it is it's a 6% surcharge or something until the cost of that's paid with the monthly bill that we pay to NIPSCO for the lights. So this is still pending. I know, Mayor, last meeting you said you had some issues you were going to talk to the Chief Campbell about regarding.
I have not had a chance to.
Pardon me?
I have not had a chance to.
Okay.
If you want to carry this over for one more meeting, and then we should be able to make a decision. I drove that street after dark. I didn't see an issue, but I would like some input from the police chief.
Okay, thank you. So we'll carry this on to the next meeting. Pamela Utterback, this was Shoreline Hills. I don't know if it's worthwhile for us to continue this. She wanted paving done out in Shoreline Hills. And I know we've discussed this, and it's, has there been any repairs done out there to anything that you're aware of, Skylar? No, you're not aware? Okay.
If there was repairs or anything like that, I wouldn't necessarily know that. It would probably be the street department or Jeff that would know those answers.
Okay.
I don't really get into the paving so much as more or less new streets or new things like that, or reconstruction.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Mayor, I don't know what your thinking is, but should we keep pushing this out, or I know that the neighborhood association out there has been told that it hasn't met the standards of actual repaving yet. Do we just take this off the list and bring it back whenever that time comes, or if the need?
Well, we don't have the money to be doing that right now, and we have to see what 2021 looks like. I don't have time to look at every street repair, and I don't think we've had a chance to assess it. I would say let's table it indefinitely, and we'll bring it back once we can fairly say that we've looked at it, and I think it's more than just one area. It sounds to me like it's the way it's stated.
Okay.
Paving in the Shoreline Hills subdivision is probably several spots.
Yeah, okay. So leave it on the list, but just push it out indefinitely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gail, did you understand that? Okay. John Chalikian, pardon me? Oh, yes. Well, we don't have to. We don't have to. No, we're just going to leave it on the list. Is that correct, Amber?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We don't need to have a motion and a second on the...
You're going to leave this on the pending list?
Yes, we're going to leave it, just push it out indefinitely.
I don't think we've ever pushed anything out indefinitely on a pending list.
Maybe table it until spring next year. Maybe better.
Yeah, why don't you do
Yeah.
that so we have an exact date to bring that back up?
Okay.
First meeting in March.
First meeting in March? Okay. Do we need a motion to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Mr. President, that we table this request until the first meeting in March of 2021.
Okay, I will second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is John Chilikian regarding his property out there off of Franklin Street. Skylar's already up there.
So we've started, I believe our president, Ken Barron, has reached out to Mr. Chilikian and just starting kind of letting him know that it's on our radar as far as the extension of Town Center Drive, looking at the feasibility of extending Town Center Drive,
Okay.
which is originally what was supposed to happen there. But that's all that we're at right now. It's simply feasibility. If it comes back and it's not feasible to do, then obviously it won't be feasible to go through there. So,
do you have any kind of a time frame on?
Right now, we've only done the topographical surveys. Honestly, we just haven't picked it back up just because we started this prior to kind of at the beginning of COVID and seeing where we're at now. Streets are very expensive to construct, especially a new one through a wetland, etc. There's wet soils there. It could prove to be a very expensive leg of street to construct. So we're just trying to be as, conservative as possible right at this point in time. So,
well, your opinion, would we be out of line in tabling this till March as well?
I don't think you would be at all. I think after the new year, hopefully we'll have some good news and some good, some good news from moving forward with our fiscal situation.
Okay, right. Thank you. In that case, I'll make a motion to table this until our first meeting in March.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And finally, we have order to demolish 710 West 10th Street. Sue, do we have anything new on this?
Good morning, Sue Down, City of Michigan City. I've been speaking with Mr. Stratton, who is also present today. And I think my biggest holdout on this, he's done a lot of work on the house. The biggest holdout is his I don't know a polite way to say it, but he's been dragging his feet about actually getting the house in his name. And I did not want to dismiss it until that's been taken care of. I do believe he said he has finally submitted the paperwork for that. So hopefully, and he can answer that question better than I.
Okay.
Hopefully, in the next, 2 to 4 weeks, it takes a little while for processing time. We could actually finally put this thing to rest. The house looks good. He's made a lot of progress on it, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it not being in his name.
Okay, thank you. Sir, if you want to step up to the microphone.
Yes, please. I'm Jason Stratton.
No, please, to the microphone, sir.
Yes, I know. Thank you. And
please state your name and
Jason Stratton.
Okay.
I now have the date in my name. I have a picture of it on my phone for whomever would like to see it, and receipts from the LaPorte County government offices.
Okay, so the home is in your name now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else to add?
I will get it done as quickly as I can. I've been working on it steadily. I do have to work so that I can continue making money. But anytime I have time, and I have some friends and family that help in addition to myself. But I spend as much time on it as I can. And as Ms. Downs said, I've been working very hard on it and I'm getting it done.
Okay. Do you have any idea when a time frame that it might get done, or?
Within a period of weeks, I can't say exactly how many, but I'm well beyond the halfway point. The exterior is done except for a few little details. The rough framing is done. I've installed some doors. We have the rough electric ready for NIPSCO connection. Basically, we're kind of at the stage of, in terms of the exterior, some punch list stuff, and on the inside, we're not that far from insulation, drywall, flooring, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so if we gave you an extension to our second meeting in December, which would be, I don't know what that date would be. That would be December 21st. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, sir.
Sue, do you have any issues with that? No?
Okay.
Okay, then...
I'll make a motion to extend the deadline to December 21st, I believe you said, 2020.
And do we need that motion, or do we just...
You do, because this is still a continuance of the hearing as to whether or not this board affirms or denies the demolition.
Okay.
So you do need that motion.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to extend this out to December 21st. I will second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That wraps up our unfinished business. Now we have public comment time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street, Councilman for the 2nd Ward. I'd like to address some things that you were talking about this property on. Is that 710 West 10th Street, correct? I believe that's in the TIF district, if I'm not mistaken. And this is one reason that I think the City of Michigan City needs to look at how much money is in the TIF district, and that's why I actually asked to clarify what was said earlier about not wanting to meet with people. I wanted to have a workshop with the Redevelopment Commission and have the financial people there with the Redevelopment Commission in an exec session because of a pending lawsuit to find out what's going on. And I don't know if maybe I'm out of step with that on the exec session, but is to find out what was going on with the lawsuit down there. And the mayor said that I refused to meet with people because I don't like them. That is absurd, because I couldn't meet. If he remembers the actual phone call, I said I wanted to have a workshop, and I think it was 3 days later he called me up. He said he scheduled a meeting, and I said I can't make it. I said I'm working. I said people got to talk to me at least a week in advance for that kind of a meeting. But you see, this is, I don't like somebody's telling me or saying about me in public, attacking me, another elected official, that I don't like people. I come from a background of negotiations. I'm always open for negotiations, okay? I think that it shows here, and I'm not going to put up with it any longer, that the mayor, the executive branch of government, excuse me, has got some petty issues with some of the council members. So what you have, what you're alluding to is gridlock. And I'm not for gridlock. I'm always willing to work with somebody. So let's get to the truth. I called the mayor this summer to talk about Washington Park. I'm still waiting on a phone call to set up a meeting to talk about Washington Park. So this is all a bunch of absurdities being projected from the executive branch. The executive branch does not want to sit down and talk to the legislative branch of government, wants to attack the legislative branch of government, which in turn, what does that do? That creates gridlock. That creates bad karma, bad feelings. I will not ever put up with somebody attacking me saying that I don't want to meet with somebody because I don't like them. If I could take off work, I'd take off work. I took a personal day to be here today because I knew the meeting was important. And here's what I will say about my comments today at this meeting. For the purpose of transparency, I believe that there should have been a resolution in front of the city council so that the two branches of government are working together or trying to work together. I understand the role of the Board of Works. I understand that, but there's still a lot of there's a lot of discomfort with this agreement. And we talked about all the unknowns today. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I think that as the mayor attacked Councilwoman Tillman at one of our council meetings and then attacked me, oh, I'm sorry, I might have said something to somebody that they didn't like because there were some homes in the second ward not being addressed for over 7 years. Excuse me. So, I truly believe that as an elected official, I can ask for information, and then when I don't get it, I wonder why. I did ask for a traffic study. I asked for a workshop with the Redevelopment Commission, and we're going to have that workshop. I guess maybe we'll have to pass a resolution and get it vetoed, all right, or an ordinance. But I think that it behooves the Redevelopment Commission, and I believe Mr. York is the exec director. He knows that I want to have a workshop and discuss all these things and to find out what the bonding of the Redevelopment Commission holds, how much equity they have. And it's just like the thing that you brought up on the agenda, Mr. President, about the Chalikian property. I believe that's in the redevelopment area on the south end TIF. But we don't know if we can do it until we find out how much money is there. So, with those comments being made, I sure hope that we clear the air today on who's not doing what and who doesn't like who. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Any other public comments? Public comment is closed. Any board comments?
No, sir.
I have none either. Virginia, do you have any comments?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. President, a comment has just come to my mind that I would like to make.
Sure.
Thank you. There were some comments made, a comment made earlier about the structure of the Board of Public Works. And when I came into office, it was my belief that traditionally the mayor held a seat on the Board of Public Works in previous administrations. Mr. Mayor declined that, and because it had been to my knowledge, it was a practice that was established and held for many mayors, I took this seat. But I will ask Ms. LePage's input because she's been around city government longer than I have. That if I am incorrect in that, please let me know, and I will not hesitate to step down from this seat and put someone else in it.
So I think the first mayor that appointed himself to the Board of Works was Mayor Oberly. He served for a period of time. Mayor Ron Meir also served for a period of time before then stepping down and replacing himself. As I explained to you, Mayor Perry, there may be times where possible conflicts of interest may arise. And if they do, I would recommend you recusing yourself from them. But other than that, when those circumstances may arise that you believe there would be a conflict, other than that, I don't foresee a problem with you sitting on the board as the prior mayors have done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Any further comment? Hearing none, all that we have left is, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.